We're talking today with Tara Regan, Communications and Advocacy Manager at Arthritis Ireland. Tara, you're very, very welcome to Disability Matters.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. I'm delighted to be here with you today.
It's great. It's our pleasure. Tell us a bit about arthritis. I think almost everyone in the country of my age has it. You might let us know what it is and how it affects you.
Okay, so maybe I'll just start a little bit about Arthritis Ireland as well, actually. So we're the patient organisation for people who live with arthritis. And as you say, John, there's a lot of people in Ireland who live with arthritis, although not just, in the older age categories. It's also a condition that can affect people very young, from childhood right through to adulthood. And it can really affect and impact their lives, as well as it can to anybody who's affected by the condition. So it's really, there's two kind of types of arthritis that we sort of group them into. The first one is osteoarthritis, which is seen as a non-inflammatory type of arthritis. And a lot of the time that is something that develops gradually over the years. It can be linked to injuries when you're younger, and then you may develop it as you get older. And then it can be something that can creep up on people as they get older. A lot of it is lifestyle related, so it can be affected by things like your diet, your level of activity, and your general lifestyle in general. We always try to say sitting is not the best, even though we all do it quite a lot.
Yeah.
But look, a lot of people say, things like it's inevitable, which it isn't, and we can do things to prevent it and manage it. And there's a lot of things we can do to reduce the impact of that. Then the other type of arthritis, and there's a lot that falls into this category, there's over 100, is inflammatory types of arthritis. And that's a different type of arthritis, which is caused, it can be, there's a genetic component, there's an environmental component, and the symptoms vary. It can come on people quite quickly. It doesn't sort of gradually happen as quick, in the way that osteoarthritis might. So there's very different types of that, but the symptoms can overlap, and some people go on to develop secondary conditions as well. So an example of an inflammatory type of arthritis would be rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and people might have heard of the skin condition psoriasis, and some people may or may not be affected by psoriasis as well as psoriatic arthritis. AxSpA, which is primarily, it more or less impacts on the spine and other joints as well. And then there are other types of, like things like gout is a form of inflammatory arthritis. A lot of people might not be aware of that as well. And then there's Down syndrome associated arthritis as well. So the inflammatory arthritis is different. It manifests itself in a different way, and the symptoms are different to osteoarthritis, even though some people with inflammatory arthritis may also have osteoarthritis. The wonderful thing about the inflammatory arthritis area is that while it can be very debilitating for people, there are wonderful medications now for people to take to treat that, to treat the inflammation and the joint damage and the pain that is associated with that. So that's just a kind of an overview of the types of arthritis. And what we always say to people is that if you think you may have symptoms of arthritis, you may be worried, talk to your GP and make sure that they understand your symptoms. It can be good to take a diary of symptoms as well, keep a list of them, because sometimes people can forget how they felt 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they might only get an appointment a few weeks later. And if they feel that you need to see a rheumatologist for further tests, you may need x-rays, MRIs or blood tests, then they'll refer you on in that case. They might ask for blood tests first.
I know a lot of people who had played football a long, long time ago, and they've done all kinds of services, hard and soft. Particularly people who played in certain positions that you had to jump a lot, and the cartilage in your knees goes, and all kinds of stuff happens. And
and it has a huge impact.
Absolutely. Happened to me now, but smile and get on with it. It's my best.
I know. It can be difficult. It can be difficult though, especially, if it's affecting your movement or your sleep and your daily routine. It can have a huge impact on just daily activities like getting up, sitting down, sleeping at night, even for people with, arthritis in their hands, it can have such an impact in terms of, even preparing food, opening jars, lifting a kettle, filling a saucepan with water. There's so many different things. Now, I would say that there are great gadgets out there to help people now. So, keep that in mind as well. And there are little tips and tricks that can help you with those daily things. Like, some people might have, you can buy something to help you put on your socks if you're having difficulty putting on your socks. Or they might choose to have shoes that don't have laces if they're having difficulty reaching down for laces and things like that. So there are lots of great, like I think they're called, they're kind of like gadgets and things like that that can help you now a little bit for things like that. Not going to necessarily improve your knee or hip pain, which could be troubling a lot of people, I'm sure.
You mentioned earlier that the treatment is medication. It's not the only treatment, is it?
No, certainly not. And look, at Arthritis Ireland, we try to provide as much information and education around how to manage and live well with your condition as possible. So we have a number of self-management programs that we run for people, which are free to take part in. And our flagship program is Living Well with Arthritis, and that's a 6-week program where people attend online or in person for 2.5 hours once a week. And the people who run those programs live with arthritis themselves or have experience of living with a chronic condition. And they take people through things like how to manage their sleep, pain management, recognizing when a flare might be surfacing and how to deal with that and how to reduce the number of flares that you can get, managing your medication, preparing for medical appointments, and then things around like diet and lifestyle and physical activity and movement that can be really beneficial for people. Coming up with a plan of how to live with your condition well. For a lot of people, this is, it's going to be a long-term condition. You may go into remission. You may have a point where you're not experiencing pain, but you still have to always be aware that it's still there and you still need to manage it. So our self-management programs are, people say always when they finish them that they find them life-changing. They connect with people who live with similar conditions. It mightn't be the same form of arthritis, it might be a related condition. So it's really important for them to connect with people as well and to know that they're not the only person dealing with this and that there is support there. We have our helpline, which is open from Monday to Friday, 10 to 4 p.m. And the number for that is 0818 252 846. And that is manned by volunteers who either live with the condition or care for somebody with the condition themselves. And they're fantastic. They can talk to you, they can give you a lot of information about different things, talk about our programs. And then the other thing I would mention is our STEPS program. And STEPS is it's a program that we have designed, which is essentially it's a tailored program for people. And what we do is we talk to the person. There's different calls and different points where we talk to the person, and they're provided with a tailored plan specific to their needs. So it's a tailored service that we have developed to provide resources for people to live well with their condition themselves. And it's a check-in service to make sure people are progressing well. So if somebody wants to ring our helpline, they can reach out and talk to us, and we can point you in the direction of the STEPS program or our self-management programs, and even some of our really excellent booklets, which are written by our health information officer for various conditions. And we even have one called drug treatments and arthritis, which is to explain the very, very complex area of the medications that people might take for their condition. And you'll find a lot of that information on our website, which is arthritisireland.ie as well.
I find as a person with arthritis that physical activity, it kind of substitutes for the treatment that you would normally get, which is pain medication. It also builds up all the muscles around the area that is affected, and it lessens the pain. I would certainly advocate it, but it's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And look, what we would always say to people is that not everybody can face the challenge of physical activity in their day if they're living in a lot of pain. However, every little bit of movement that you do will help, and will help to keep your joints more mobile and, like you say, retain the muscle, which is really important. We always say to people, it's about movement. So if physical activity or exercise classes are not your thing, that's perfectly fine. But movement is important, and even small bursts of movement can be really helpful. So just walking around the house, if you're not able to leave the house, chair exercises can be really good as well. And some people, walking is not even an option for them, but they may be able to walk up and down a swimming pool if there's one close to them, because you're able to move easier in the water and there's less pain and less impact on the joints. We also run a lot of activity programs and physical activity classes. We have an adapted exercise program that we run, and we run a lot of physical activity classes in the community, but we also have online Tai Chi classes and in-person Tai Chi classes and yoga classes. So what we would say to everybody is there's probably something out there for you. Try it if you can, but if you can't, movement is medicine. Movement is fantastic, and any form of movement that you can do, however small, will have an impact. And it's also really important for your mental health as well. We know that a lot of people who engage in exercise or movement or any class, even if it's a coffee and a catch up, the social connections are really important for people as well. Just so that you can chat to somebody about how you're feeling. It's not always possible to find somebody who can relate to your condition, but when you're connected with people through Arthritis Ireland, you do tend to find people who understand what you're going through. And look, if all of those things don't work for you, we have a Facebook support group as well. And that can be a really good place for people to ask questions or chat, or just talk about how they're feeling.
Brilliant. Do we know how many people in Ireland have arthritis and what the gender split is?
So we don't know the exact gender split or the exact number of people. However, we have we're looking at about 1 in 5 people in Ireland, so that's a huge number of people. Now, the severity of their arthritis can vary hugely. So some people may have arthritis in their hands, and some people, or their fingers, and some people may have arthritis that's affecting multiple joints at the same time. So the 1 in 5 is really important, though, because we are an aging population and the numbers are going to continue to grow. We're also, we're an increasing population as well, and we're also much more sedentary than we were previously. So all of those things have an impact on the numbers. So the 1 in 5, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it may increase in the future. So what I would say is that if people are listening and they don't live with arthritis now, try to do your best to avoid a sedentary lifestyle. Try to improve your lifestyle. All those small little changes can make a huge difference. Things like sleep are really important for your physical well-being and your mental well-being as well. And any movement that you can do is really important as well.
Now, if somebody was out there and they just got a diagnosis for the first time of arthritis, what advice would you give them?
So we have a really good interview we have 2 interviews that we have on our website for people who are newly diagnosed. And the first one deals with the sort of the medical aspect, and the second one deals with almost your mental health and your psychological state, in terms of dealing with it. And for a lot of people, there's almost a grieving process. Sometimes people, when they're diagnosed with a chronic condition such as arthritis, they find themselves almost having to rethink their whole life. And, it's almost as if what they thought their future was, it just has to change. So they have to learn to live well with their condition. And there's a certain amount of acceptance that comes with that. And there's also a certain amount of explaining to family and friends what that might look like, because it's often very unpredictable. It can take a long time for people to get their medication under control and their condition under control. They may have to try a few different treatments before one starts to work. So it's important for people to pace themselves, really. It's really important to pace yourselves and to realize that you probably can't say yes to everything. So a lot of people find that, for example, if they were attending a wedding, say, for example, this weekend, they may have to rest in the run up to that and in post-wedding. They may have to cancel plans and they may have to reset expectations of people. So they may not always be available to meet up with friends, or they may not always be available to do all of the things that they did before, because they have to learn to pace themselves and manage the energy levels that they have. So that's really important. But for somebody who's newly diagnosed, this always sticks with me, because Professor Geraldine McCarthy, who has done a recorded interview with us for this, the day that you get your diagnosis is the first day, but you've been living with the condition for a long time, probably at this stage. So you've already been living with it, but now it has a name, and now you can move forward, and now you can engage with people like Arthritis Ireland and self-management programs and connect with people to learn more about your condition. So it's almost about, realizing that you've probably had a really tough time already, and now you can start to manage your condition and live well with it. And, like I said, there's a bit of a grieving process there for some people. Some people may have to alter their plans and do different, reset expectations. But it's all about realizing that you need to learn to live with your condition as well as you can. And please, if you have been newly diagnosed, please do reach out to us, because we can provide a huge amount of support and information to people who do live with arthritis.
Now, I'll ask you this at the end as well. How do they get in touch?
Yeah, so as I said, our helpline is open Monday to Friday, 10 to 4, and the number is 0818 252 846. We have a lot of information on our website, booklets, expert interviews, podcasts, and then, of course, you can book our programs as well. And the website is arthritisireland.ie.
Very good. One thing I found brilliant on your website was the patient stories.
Yes.
I'd imagine they'd be great comfort for somebody who's just starting off their journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're very fortunate as well, John, that a lot of people choose to share our story with us. But the reason they do that is so selfless. They really want to help other people who are on the same journey. So we find that people really, I think they get a huge amount of information and support and affirmation, I think, from those stories, because it can be difficult and it can be a struggle for people mentally to deal with a chronic condition. So it's very helpful to get information from other people, but also to know that you're not doing that alone, that there are other people out there who understand what you're going through, and that it isn't easy. It's not going to be easy, but you can get to a place where you can live well with your condition if it's managed well, and if you are a partner in your health journey along with your healthcare professionals.
Yeah, the important thing is management. You said that earlier, and getting a management regime is the most important thing, to include medication, but also to include exercise, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
What does living well with arthritis involve? You have that on your website.
Yeah, so that's the self-management program that I was talking about, the 6-week program that we run. But also to mention, there are other programs that we run as well. So there's a Living Well with Pain program, which is specifically for people who are living with a lot of pain, and helping them to learn to live with that pain and how to manage their pain. We also have a Be Active with Arthritis program, which is a physio-led program, and it's held with an accredited physiotherapist. And it's about exercises that are specifically tailored for people living with arthritis and related conditions. So we have a huge number of programs really there for people that they can, avail of. And for example, now a lot of those programs have finished for 2025, but there'll be new programs now starting in January and February. And if you look at our website, you'll see updates there as well. Or if you want to even subscribe to our newsletter, you'll hear more about it that way.
I would certainly recommend your website because it's full of information. And if I was somebody who was starting all over, I would certainly take great comfort from a lot that's in it.
Great.
Do you fundraise?
We do. And obviously, the fundraising is hugely important for an organisation such as ours. And without the generosity of people, we wouldn't be able to provide the information and services and supports that we do. So we want to, first of all, I would like to thank anybody who has fundraised or donated for Arthritis Ireland the last year or even before that. Their donation, however small, is hugely significant for us. We just closed our raffle, and the raffle is the Christmas raffle, and the winners will be announced next week. So if you have bought a ticket, best of luck, and we'll be updating people on our social channels and website next week. But again, if there's other people who want to organise their own fundraiser as well, or if they want to take part in a challenge, especially businesses out there may be interested as well in supporting us. So please do get in touch with us and the fundraising team, and we'll be more than happy to help you out if you need assistance with that.
Is there anything planned yet for next year, early next year?
Well, we're going to have our week-long initiative, which is National Arthritis Week, and that's a week that we run every year to raise awareness. So we're hoping to run that the week of the 20th of April. And we have a lot of programs. We're going to have some new campaigns in the new year. We're going to be talking about pregnancy and arthritis in the start of the year. So that's a really important one for us. We're going to be launching a new booklet. We're also going to be running a campaign around being fit for surgery. So if you're planning any surgery, we do have a recording on our site, and we're going to have a new one as well, hopefully in February or March. And season 5 of our podcast series will probably be launched, hopefully in March of 2025 as well. And then we'll have our National Arthritis Week. And of course, alongside all of that, our STEPS program and our self-management programs and our fundraising activities will be ongoing. So a busy year ahead in 2026.
Very good. Yeah, that's chock full. Yeah. I might talk to you again in early April about your National Arthritis Week.
That would be great. Yeah, I'd be happy
plug
to do
for
so.
it. All right, at
Thank
the
you.
end of our chat, is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
No, nothing, just to say that for anybody, like I said, who is struggling or who is finding it difficult to manage their arthritis, please do give us a call. The number is 0818 252 846, or visit our website. And I should have said as well, John, at the start, if you are newly diagnosed, it can be even really overwhelming. Yeah. So take your time, spend some time on our site, reach out to us, but don't try to do everything at once. You can take it step by step, and we'll guide you through that process if you need it.
Brilliant. Tara, thank you so much for talking to us at Disability Matters.
Absolutely my pleasure, John. Wishing you and all your listeners a very happy Christmas.
And to you and yours.
Thank you.